We're going to lay out 5 major principles that you have to learn in order to succeed at game and life in general. The first one is clarity of intent. Say that back to me.
Clarity of intent.
The second one is freedom from outcome.
Freedom from outcome.
The third one is entitlement. The fourth one is congruence. The fifth one is self-amusement. Okay, let's quickly break these down and then show how they apply. Clarity of intent, first one. So what you have is you walk up to a girl. You see that girl, and part of you wants to have sex with her, but part of you is afraid. So you walk up and it's like, hey. Versus if you walk up and you're like, hey. You see the difference? Watch what most guys do. Okay? So what's happening is you're getting a divergence in your clarity of intent. It's like the gas is on, it's like gas, 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 and then that impulse control part of your brain kicks in, and boom. It's almost like 2 different parts of your brain. One part of your brain is the part that says go for it, and the other part is the part that's trying to fucking save you. Now that's a good thing that you have that, because what it means is that you are able to not rob banks or just go like start beating people's heads in to take their shit. So, you know, say that somebody has something that you want, and you're like, I'm gonna go beat his head in and take his shit. Oh, wait a minute, bad idea. There's a lot of cash in that bank. Great. Give me the cash. Oh, no. So that's good. People that don't have that go to jail. So let's count yourself lucky. Let's count yourself fucking lucky that you're not one of those guys, okay? Let's count yourself fucking lucky. But I want you to think of it from moving towards intense and moving away from intense. So moving towards intense, what it is that you have things like I want to have sex with a girl, I want to expand the party, I want to chat, I want to screen, I want to have fun. Let me break down a couple of those. The majority of guys, when they see women and they catcall them, don't actually want to have sex with those girls. What they're doing is they're just like, hey, ma, yeah, you're a hot girl, like, you know, stuff like that. That doesn't mean that you really want to have sex with that girl. What that means is that you're kind of like just thinking that you do, but really you just want to whack off to her pictures or something like that, right? So you know, like when you see, you know, you're looking at like some porn to jerk off to online, you know, you're sitting there on your laptop, you got your hand cream out, and you're like, where's the hottest girl to whack off to, right? And that's a very clear intent. But most of the time, if a gorgeous girl walks in here, say Megan Fox in her prime walks in here, what will wind up happening is she comes in here, and you're going to feel this myriad of different intents. Part of you wants to have sex with her, but the other part of you doesn't want to get embarrassed. It wants her validation and her approval, but you're not really thinking about sex that much. You don't want another guy to get mad at you and attack you. And overall, you are feeling like in your emotional homeostasis, like where you're normally at emotionally, and you're afraid that you're going to feel bad. That's generally how this pans out. So the way that I want you to think about it is such that when you're seeing the girl, if you actually wanted to have sex with her, probably she'd find that attractive. But it's very rare that a man can walk up on a girl and actually want to have sex with her. It's very rare. I will only feel that way about a girl a couple times a month, where I'm just like, wow. And I just walk up and I'm just aroused. That happens maybe a couple times a month. It's very rare. And you know what's funny? The few times a month that happens, it tends to work out very well. You ever notice that, guys? When you're genuinely attracted to a girl and there's no ego in it and validation in it, and it's just a very pure attraction, the girl feels that and she likes it. So that's great, right? So, you know, sometimes my intent will be so strong, I'll walk up to a girl and she's like, I feel like we're like already having sex or something. Like it's, you know, and they feel that. So that can happen with just a clear sexual intent. That's not the only type of intent though. A lot of guys think that the word intent just means, oh, you want to fuck the girl. Intent can also mean you want to go up and chat. One of the best ways of getting laid that you could ever have is a sincere desire to have a nice, friendly chat. Sound funny? Try walking up to a girl, just chatting her without fear of rejection, ego, desire for validation, and you're really just chatting to have a great time. You want to know what happens? The girl has so much fun, she wants to hang out again. How about just to expand the party? You're with your boys, you're laughing, you're having fun, and you just want to bring her in on the party. Same thing, girls fucking love it. They want to party, the girls are already aroused, they already want to have sex, they wind up coming home with you, boom, you wind up having sex back at home. You don't need her to want to have sex with you right at the club. Just being friendly with a girl and then having her being willing to be in isolation with you, by the time that she's alone with you, she's aroused naturally, because girls are naturally horny anyway, and then they want to have sex. Another one is screening her. Like, wow, you know what, she's attractive, I don't know what her personality's like, and you walk up and you're engaging with her, but you're kind of not sure. And then a lot of times girls will start jumping through your hoops to see if they can meet your expectations. A lot of women, they really go for guys that do that. So those are great examples of moving towards intent. Sex, conversation, expanding the party, or screening. The intents that you want to avoid are neediness for sex, validation chasing, fear of rejection, fear of judgment from the environment, fear of being attacked by some guy, wanting people to think you're cool. These are the intents that you don't want. So you want to get clear in what your intent is. And the clearer that you get, the better that you're going to do. It is the coolest thing in the world. The next one is freedom from outcome. What freedom from outcome means is that basically you're already feeling great in your own body and you don't need anything from her. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing when you can do that. So freedom from outcome is very powerful because what's going on is that you're just sitting there and you're just cool, you know? You're just fucking cool. That's it. Being free from outcome means that you can just be yourself. It's a paradox because on one level you have a very powerful intent, but on another level, you're cool with whatever happens. So what happens is that you feel a joy in the action itself. In public speaking, what'll happen is, as I'm talking to you, I want to feel each word. Every word that I'm saying, I feel a nice feeling in my body resonating from head to toe. Hey, 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 yo, how are you doing? Nice to meet you. My name's Owen. How are you doing? What's happening is I'm free from outcome. That moment, that's the joy. It's grounded in its own energy now. Hey, that doesn't mean you talk like this. That'd be weird. But when you're speaking, every word is just nice. So as I'm up in front of a crowd, I have no idea how much time has passed. When I'm at a venue or a nightclub or a bar and I'm talking with girls, I have no idea how much time has passed. I could take guesses, but I don't really know. So that's a beautiful thing because when you're coming from that frame, people can feel from you that you're that guy that doesn't need anything. There's a freedom from outcome, and it adds a genuineness, a groundedness to the energy that you're putting out. Congruence. Congruence means that while you do this, there's an alignment in your thoughts, words, and actions. Congruence is that your thoughts, words, and actions are aligned. You want to train yourself to act how you feel. When girls are blowing you off, it's not typically what you think it is, that you're not a high value enough guy or attractive enough guy. They may not have sex with you for that reason, but if you're having an entire night where you're going out and girls are blowing you off, the number one reason that's happening is a lack of congruence. It is not a lack of value typically. In most environments, there's exceptions. It's typically a lack of congruence. You can see the ugliest, most out of shape, fugly dudes with no game at all walking up to gorgeous, stunning women, and as long as they're congruent, the girls will talk to them. The girls are like, oh, he's cool, and they'll talk to him. Because girls are just regular people too. So girls will talk to you when you're congruent. So you want to have a very real effort on being congruent, not putting on a front. But this is paradoxical because on the other hand, you want to learn how to pimp it. You do want to learn new skills and ways to use your energy and conversation and humor and dominance in ways that you're not acclimated to. So a lot of success with women is trying new things that are incongruent until they become congruent and then making them congruent. So it's kind of funny how it works. It's like it's this gradual process of, you know, maybe it wouldn't be congruent for you to go, you, what's your name? That would be incongruent at first. You try it, you kind of push it, like that, and then later it becomes congruent. So it's very cool. The next one that I want to say is self-amusement. And self-amusement is very powerful. It's really a Zen concept. It's the idea that you can entertain yourself without needing anything from anybody else. I want you to be at a point where you can entertain yourself more than a movie could entertain you, more than even sex could entertain you. You're able to laugh, have fun, and feel joy more on your own than needing anything from anybody else. And what that does is it makes you the center of the energy. So you've got to get very good at grooming your own state, handling your own emotions, basically being at the cause and not the effect of your emotions. You can read a great book called The Kabbalion about that, and it's an older book. And it's a bit of a weird book, but if you can sort of manage your way through the weirdness of it, the basic idea of it is that you are at the cause of your own emotions, not at the effect, okay? And you'll, particularly the later half of it, first half's a little bit hard to follow. It gets better in the later half. Yeah. Kybalin, or maybe 2 L's, I'm not sure. It's by the Three Initiates. And you can do an audiobook. It's about 4 hours, and that's a very powerful concept there. So you can check it out there. I kind of came up with this on my own from the field, and then you kind of stumble on these books that sort of say the same thing, and it's really exciting when that happens. What I like about it is just the idea that you're at the cause and not the effect of your own emotions, and how when you're in a certain vibration, in a higher vibration, you tend to attract that which you are like. I think that's a very powerful concept. It can get taken a little too far in self-development to the point where people might suggest not even taking any action and just pumping your vibration. Everything you want in life is going to come at you. I wouldn't take it that far. I think there's a component of massive action, strategizing, self-education. But I think when those are combined with getting into a higher vibration and being the cause, not the effect, the effect is so powerful, it's unbelievable. So I take a balanced perspective in that. I don't go with extreme philosophies, but I can take something from each philosophy and apply it to my own life and share it with you here. And I suggest you do the same thing. Now, next up, self-amusement when balanced with congruence. I want you to think of it like this. The congruence is it's like groundedness and congruence versus like expansive energy and self-amusement. Try to follow this. This is a very powerful concept. So this is the groundedness here, and that's the expansive energy. So if I feel that I'm not in a very funny or good state, I'm highly aware of it, and I contract my energy. So if I'm kind of like quiet that day, I'll be like, hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. Cool. Because if I'm in a quiet state like that, and I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. Like that, it doesn't work, right? So it's an incongruence. So on some nights, I go out and I will say the craziest, most outlandish things you've ever seen. You can see videos of me where I just start like poking at my eye. I did this the other day. It's the first time I ever did it. Did you see me at Free Tour, any of you guys, where I was going, like that? Well, if I do that right now, so my energy in that moment was very expansive. So if I'm like, like that, it'd be a little odd, right? So I know right where I'm at and what would be the appropriate expansion in my energy. So if my energy is getting really big, let's look at me. Like you see that? You see there? It's like if you try to push it too far, you get incongruent. And imagine you have some speaker up here, and he's like, so, zingy, zingy, ha! Right? I don't know, is that James Brown? I don't know what that was. So if he's doing that, you're like, who the fuck is this guy, right? At the same time, if I'm trying to if I even try to be too chill, I'm like, hey guys, life's about chilling. Right? You're like, who the fuck is this guy? So what I'm doing is I'm going into my body, and my energy will expand to the extent that is proportional to the congruence and groundedness. Guys that are great with women are able to be clear in their intent without a division in their intent. They're able to be very much in the moment and enjoying every moment without needing anything, but yet while taking massive action. So in a practical term, you should be able to walk up the street with a girl. You should be able to chase a girl up the street, walk with her, be walking in front of her. You're taking massive action to make it happen. When she says, oh, I might be going here or going there, you might be spiking her emotions and hitting her with funny suggestions about where to go. Massive fucking action. Massive outside the box thinking. And yet, even as you're doing it, you don't care whether it works or not, and you're completely free from the outcome. Because guys get caught up in one or the other, right? They're like taking massive action. They're just running up on everybody like maniacs, but the girls can sense that they're try hard. Other guys are like, oh, I couldn't chase her down. I'm non-needy. She's going to think it's so sexy how non-needy I am. Meanwhile, the girl's just walking off like, dur, dur, dur. She doesn't think anything of you. So there was no value in just backing off. It actually would have been better to keep going. So I want you to hit that sweet spot of crazy powerful intent, being a crafty, intelligent, strategic closer who knows how to seed a pole, knows how to establish a date that won't flake. I want you to know that stuff. I want you to know how to lead it into isolation and close, and to do this consistently, to be a crafty, hard closer. But at the same time, I want you to do this with non-neediness 1,000%. Guys that are great in success with women, their minds are structured in such a way where they're clear in their intent, non-needy, congruent, expansive energy when they need to, but at the same time, if their energy is not expansive that day, they can pull it in and still do pickup from a very chill standpoint. And the last one, and here's the key to it all, is entitlement. What entitlement means And you could also call that just worthiness or self-love or deservedness. It's not like you're entitled like a snotty little kid, like I'm entitled to shit that's not mine or to touch someone that I shouldn't touch. It's not that at all, ever. But rather what it is it's the ability to walk up on a woman and do those first 4 things without it being a big deal. It's the ability to walk up to a stunning woman and not be thinking ahead. Remember we talked about freedom from outcome, you're not thinking ahead? Most guys walk up and they're teeing up shit to say, trying to put out fires. You know, like she's like, I went to Italy. You're like, I went to Italy. Do you want to hear it? Right? Will you stay another 6 seconds if I tell you that? You know, so it's you stay in your center, but the ability to walk up and see, because most guys, when they see a beautiful woman, they're afraid to take up her time and space. They can't congruently say, hey, come here. They can't walk up to a stunning girl and say, hey, come here. What's your name? They can't do that from a standpoint of clear in what they're doing, but yet no outcome at all, congruent, and self-amused. They can't do it. What happens is it breaks down, right? Like self-amusement, for example, the best way to describe it to you is most guys, what they're doing is they're going, funny joke. If the girl laughs, that pumps them up, and then they get validated. You guys catch that? So what they're doing is they go, funny. If the girl laughs, yay for me. Funny, girl laughs, yay for me. Self-amusement is what I think is funny, and then by the law of emotional state transference, she feels how funny you think it is. This is so critical because if you fail to do this, what's going to happen is at some point she's not going to laugh. At some point she's not going to be receptive. And she's going to sense that you're chasing her approval for your reality. You're not drawing her into your reality, you're trying to get into her reality. You're not creating your own party that she don't want to be part of. You're trying to get in her party. Do you guys see how huge that is, by the way? Ask yourself an honest question. How often are you trying to get in the girl's fucking party rather than being in your own party, creating your own fucking vibe and drawing her into that reality? So you always want to be creating a peer group, lifestyle, and general way of being emotionally and externally where the girl is being drawn into it rather than you trying to get into her party, which she instinctively senses is fucked up. So even though that you're the one approaching and you're initiating, essentially you're drawing her in. Really, that's what you're doing. And anytime that you deviate outside of that, it's going to be very hard to get that girl. Now, when you have these 5 principles on point, you are lethal, you are dangerous, you are effective. It is disgustingly results producing. It is disgusting the types of results that you get when you're coming at a girl right in the sweet spot of that energy. It's essentially a sweet spot of that type of energy. From there, what you're doing is adding some social calibration into the mix, being aware of when she's comfortable and when she's not, which, by the way, when you do this, they're going to be very comfortable. But you want to just be aware of where she's at, and that's just simple social awareness. You know, if you tap her, does she tap you back? If you crack some jokes, is she enjoying it? Are her eyes big? Is she looking deep in your eyes? Is she receptive? If the girl's unreceptive, nice meeting you, and you back off. I am huge on apologizing and backing off. Backing off and apologizing is a vital component of my success with women. Because essentially what's going to happen is you're going to walk up and you're going to create attraction with the girl. And at some point, maybe you go to take her hand and she gets even 1% uncomfortable. And you, oh, sorry, anyway, and then you keep being you. Later, you go to take her hand and she likes it because you showed her that you're aware of her space. And by showing the girl that you're aware of her space, she will compliment you. She will call you sexy. She'll go, you're so cute. Just keep talking to me. Or she'll say, you're going to meet another great girl tonight, when they see that you're aware. So while I'm being assertive and taking massive action, I'm the first to back off, okay? You guys ever heard expressions like no means no and things like that? That's not enough. You ever heard of even the idea of affirmative yes? Like wait for the girl to say yes before you have sex? That's not even enough. It shouldn't even it shouldn't even come to a point where that would ever even come up, because that would even indicate that she's uncomfortable. The girl should never be uncomfortable with what you're doing. The second that a little bit of discomfort comes up, you're apologizing, you're backing off. So what we teach you in RSD is not just how to be assertive and go out there and take massive action, but is to be extremely respectful of another person's ecosystem and what they're experiencing and what their subjective experience of you is like. And the second that it goes negative in any way, shape, or form, you back off. Now, when you back off, you can back off and keep joking with her, and maybe you see her eyes light up and she's enjoying it, and then maybe at that point, you can keep talking. You know, you can do stuff like that, but you're always aware of where she's at. And by the way, that again will make you so great at meeting women because they sense that you're aware of them. And because they sense that you're aware of them, there's no downside. What is women's main reason that they don't like getting approached by guys? Most women really don't like getting approached by guys. Do you want to know why? Because from a woman's perspective, as soon as a guy talks to her, if she's receptive at all, most dudes are so unsocially aware that they literally won't stop pestering her. They'll start groping her, they'll start grabbing at her, they won't leave. And then if she gives him her number, he'll start texting her and blowing up her fucking text and harassing her. Rather than doing that, instead what you do is just talk to lots of people, and when you sense that it's a little bit off by slight fluctuation in her eyes, there's a light that you should be able to recognize in a woman's eyes and feel as a man, and as soon as that goes out even a little bit, you're off. If you go to take her hands, does she squeeze back? If she doesn't, you're off. And you just keep apologizing. Sorry. But you could just keep joking, and if she keeps enjoying it, you just take your time. For a girl, she might not be feeling a makeout with a guy that she just met, but she may enjoy chatting with you. So say that you go to kiss and she's not wanting to kiss right now, it doesn't mean you have to be like, oh, and like go run away. All that she'd be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I'm talking to you. I just didn't want to make out with you right now, you know? So what you do is you just keep talking and joking around, and then maybe later you put your arm out and say, do you want to come? And you do that all the way right to the end. Even in sex, by the way, and I want to point this out, even in sex, I find that when you do this properly, the result you're going to get is that the girl will ask you to have sex. What I love about being in bed with a girl is you can just sit there so free from outcome, but still that male presence and just enjoying the conversation. You know what's great about chatting in bed? There's no distractions there. You can really just get to know each other. You chat in bed and make your personality completely vulnerable. Like, I think that's the most powerful thing with a girl. The most seductive thing you could ever do is just be yourself. Like, talk about your hopes, your dreams, your thoughts, your insecurities, everything. Just like completely just be yourself. And what the girl's doing is she's downloading that. You'll see her eyes light up and she's downloading it. She's like, who is this guy? What's he about? And then she'll start telling you things. You'll know, like, when a girl's about to sleep with you, a lot of time what they'll do is they'll like pull out their cell phone. They'll start showing you their family. They'll start showing what their life's about, and they're curious if you think they're cool. And if you genuinely do think they're cool and they think you're cool, then you have chemistry, and then usually by that point, she's gonna wanna have sex, and it's gonna just be the most natural thing in the world. So this is basically where you're creating a life that you're offering a lot of value to your environment. You're a very powerful man, and yet there's not anything being taken or negative, okay? It's just pure offering value, and you want to be the kind of guy that women and people in general really value. Does that not mean that the odd girl that's just highly negative or wound up or uptight might not enjoy your company? Or, you know, you hooked up with some girl and then she's emotionally volatile, and then later, even though she loved it at that time, and later she's like, I hate you, you know, or something like that? Because, you know, have you guys ever had a breakup where your girlfriend just hated you after? Sure, right? People can just be emotionally volatile. It doesn't mean that that will never ever happen, right? A lot of exes dislike each other, stuff like that. That can happen, but in general, I'm friends with all my exes. I'm friends with, you know, girls that I met out, I'm friends with them. It's just positive, 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 positive. I want you to think of it like the town square. You're just out talking with people, everybody's having fun, and it's a great vibe. Imagine the world before these goddamn cell phones, before all this, before people were uptight, and before people looked at movies and stimulus in order to provide stimulation. Imagine a world like a couple hundred years ago where everybody in the village knew each other and just enjoyed each other's company. That's how I think about success with women. You should be going home feeling energized, like you just bonded with your village, as opposed to going home being like, that was hard, the people there are negative. I love that, like the people there are shit. The people there are low quality and negative, which is just preposterous, right? Who's the negative one at that point? You know, who's the negative one judging everybody else? Why not see the positive? So, you know, it doesn't mean that you have to like worship somebody or something, or put them on a pedestal. Why don't you see the positive though? So that's the underlying frame that you should be coming from. So what I want to do now is we'll back this up with some hidden camera videos, and I want to show you how this plays in as far as these principles in action. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you clips that are not so good, but you know what's funny? They're not bad either. They're just not that great. And I think you'll relate to that, because do any of you guys relate to examples where you went and you interacted and it was okay, but it just doesn't quite go anywhere? Whoever here feels that a lot of time. Very common, right? So I like to show that first. And then I'll show ones that are a little bit better. And then I'll show ones a little bit better. And then I'll show you ones where I'm really in that nice sweet spot. And I love to start with silent clips. And I do that because what most guys do is they're always trying to hear the words. They always want to hear the fucking word. What's the words? What's the words? What's the words? What's the words? So what I want to do here is I want to show it to you without the words, and I want you to be looking at my energy, my body language, the relating between me and the girl, and the overall demeanor of that, okay? So I want you to take these core principles and just see how that is kind of playing into these interactions. And I'm going to ask you, how it looks, and then we'll show a better one and a better one and a better one so you can see the difference. I think this is very important. I love teaching this way because now we've seen the 5 main principles. And then what we're doing is we're seeing it in action energetically and in the body language. And we'll show you the kind of ones that are not so great, like more like a 6 out of 10, all the way up to, what you might call a 10 out of 10. And then you can see the range of it. And that way you can apply this to your own pickups. This is the type of pickup that, in my mind, is like what every guy is doing that's not effective. And that is an approach. It's good, but yet it's just not quite where it needs to be. So let's watch, and I'm going to ask you what's good and bad about it. Okay, so I walked up. The girl is, what's good about how she's responding?
Pleasant, open.
Okay. She's a beautiful girl. She does modeling work. She's actually telling me about it in the conversation. She's flipping her hair. She's smiling. She's looking deep in my eyes. That's good. What's funny is that when we talk about entitlement, you've got to believe that this is actually fucking happening. It's called the art of allowing or the art of receiving. This girl here is actually giving me great energy, but I am failing to receive it. Many of you guys are going up on incredible women, and they're completely into you, and you can't just fucking allow it. It's the most incredible thing. Like you walk up to a girl, you're chatting, and you're trying to fill in every little silent gap in the conversation, and you're putting all the pressure on yourself. You're never letting any conversational vacuums happen, because you don't feel entitled to her. The funny thing is, this girl here, let me ask you a question. Is she showing enough attraction to me where we could actually wind up having sex? Yeah. She actually is. Now, some guys will be like, no, but they're over-analyzing this. Most of the time, if a girl's just smiling and receptive in general, there's a chance you and her could wind up sleeping together, dating, becoming boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. But who's the person here that's not letting it happen? Who's blocking it? I'm the one blocking it. It's crazy how that works. So, in this case here, what I've got to do is just accept it, and I'm failing to do that. Now, I want you to imagine if I were to touch her, would it be natural for me to touch her at this point, or would it be almost like I'm too afraid to touch her? Yeah, does that mean that you have to always touch your girl and pick up or to be grabby? Absolutely not. You can do pickups where you're proactively not touching her. You can even make her chase you. Works like a charm. But am I being hard to get in this case, or am I just afraid to touch? Okay, now, the girl has been so cool to me, and yet I'm sitting here stifled, second-guessing it. But at the same time, what is good about this approach? What's the first and foremost thing that is good about this approach? I want to train you on this mentality because it's vital. I approached. Every approach that you do is 100 out of 10 because you did it. I want you to imagine that you had 2 kids. One was disabled and the other was perfectly healthy. You love them both equally. Why? They come from you, they're your children. You gotta love your retarded approaches. Okay? If you do a retarded approach, you've gotta love it just as much. It came from you, it's building momentum, you love it equally. Why is it 100 out of 10? Because it is building momentum. It's a reference experience that most guys would never get. And most of all, say this with me, who the fuck would have the balls to do that? Say it with me. Who the fuck would have the balls to do that? Okay. Now, the reason why we condition ourselves on this is because anytime that you do an approach, if you view it as awesome, now all of a sudden your mood is going up. If you get self-critical and you're bashing yourself on every approach, your mood will consistently be low, you'll never get into state, and it will be shit. So I want you conditioning yourself continually on the idea that every approach that you did is fucking awesome, because who the fuck would have the balls to do that? And I want you always finding something funny about it and happy about it. So that was what was good about that. Now let me ask you this though, what was bad about it? It was I cleared my intent. No, the gas and the brake were on at the same time. Was it subtle or obvious? Obvious. To you guys in this for a while, it's obvious. To somebody new looking at this, it's subtle. Somebody who doesn't have a good nuanced eye for pickup or game, they would look at that and think it was an epic approach. To somebody who's a new guy in pickup who's overly critical, they'd say it's a shit approach because they're just like trying to say everything sucks to feel good about themselves. To a guy with a nuanced eye, it's a good approach because I went in, I built some momentum, it was cool, there's a chance she could call back, but overall, I'm still not clear of my intent. I still have too much of an agenda, too much of an outcome. I'm not congruent. I'm not self-amused. I'm still wanting her to laugh. And I'm not entitled or worthy of a girl like that. So we're looking at it through those channels and seeing where I'm falling out. At least I'm socially calibrating with her, but at the same time, I'm over-calibrating because I'm just reading it too much and I'm making her too much the center of my world. So let's look at the next one and we'll just see it go a little bit better. All right, so with this one here, okay, a couple things about it. What are the first things that you notice as being a little bit better about this one than the last one? Okay, so the first thing most people say is that she's leaning into me, which is great, and also we're a little bit closer in. I agree with that, although I will say that because it's a tighter club environment, that's kind of the default, isn't it? To an extent, this is a better pickup in that I'm closer and she's investing more, but at the same time, it's a little bit stacked because in an open area, you're not as likely to get close to there, whereas in a closed area, it's kind of like it's force, which plays in your advantage. We're in here, and there's a natural chemistry. But notice here, am I clearer in my intent? What's my intent here? We said sexual, chatty, expand the party, or screening. Which one would you say this is? This is probably more towards chatting and screening with a bit of self-amusement and a bit of sexuality. Little touch of sexuality, little touch of expanding the party. But if you look at my face, I'm kind of screening, right? I have that kind of blank look like I'm considering what she's saying. Most guys will never even have that look of considering what the girl's saying. And they're just like little thirsty puppy dogs. Whatever you do is amazing. Whatever you do is amazing. Oh my God, right? And they never hit that point where they're screening. So the girls feel when you're genuinely screening. And so in your mind, you almost have to imagine you're like a world famous DJ who could go home with any girl that night and you're not sure which one it is. I hate using the term fake it till you make it, but rather the way that I would say it is like fake it till you make it, or better yet, create such an amazing life that you really are screening and get so good with girls that you really are screening. Okay, would be the best way I'd put it to you. So I'm leaning in with her, we're vibing, she's leaning in me. So like look at my face there. Do you see me kind of screening her here? Yeah. I'm considering what she's saying, and right as she says something I like, I laugh, and then I'm like, you're so funny. I'm like, what's under here? And then I wind up looking under her shirt. I'm looking at her abs, just kind of giving her some attention. And then I pick her up. Now, she's giving me what's here's called a dog tap. A dog tap is where the girl is trying to signal to surrounding men that it's not sexual. And I was, oh, thank you. And I was very, very surprised that I was getting that reaction because she had the big Bambi eyes. She seemed excited by the conversation. So usually you're not going to get a dog tap. But what happened was it was the guy who was right there. Does that mean that I have to stop right then and there? No, I can keep going. I just have to be aware of the guy's presence and continue. So that set there, intent, is it a bit more clear than last time?
Yes.
How about my freedom from outcome? Was it a little bit more free?
Yeah.
Okay. Was I a little bit more congruent in that one?
Yeah.
Was I a little bit more self-amused in that one?
Yeah.
Was I a little bit more entitled in that one?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see the idea of how this is breaking down. That's why we watched these first few clips just on silent, just the first couple, just to get an idea of what's happening from an energetic standpoint. I want you to be able to look at people across the room and have a clear idea of what's going on with them. It's very critical. This one here has always been a crowd favorite because it's kind of like how every guy wishes a pickup would happen because it's just so point A to point B. They're not all going to look as smooth as this, but it's fun when they are, and just enjoy it. They will be smooth like this occasionally. So I'm saying to this girl, don't get in a taxi, come with me instead. And she's kind of looking in there. She's kind of weighing her options. She's looking at me. She's like, do you want to share the ride? I'm like, no, I want you just to come with me. Now, this is, again, the art of allowing. Okay? Because basically, when this is happening, you've got to accept it as though it is normal. Now, I want you to notice a couple things here. As this happens, to be honest with you, a part of me is fucking stunned. I'm like, really? I'm like, that whole don't get in the cab thing actually fucking worked? But it occasionally does. And, you know, that's why it's worth a try. So notice here as she's coming out, and I'm going to show you something very important. So I'm smooth, I've got the hand there. And I want you to watch her eyes here. Okay, so watch the direction of her face. look at her eyes looking deep in my eyes. What that is in my mind, the number one indicator of interest is deep penetrating look into your pupils from the girl. So you know how guys might, kind of in a funny way, look at a girl's titties and ass to sort of like give her a sidelong glance to see what we think? A woman's version of that is lucky for women. You know how sometimes it's good to be a man, sometimes it's good to be a woman? In this case, it's kind of good to be a woman because a woman's version of a sidelong glance is looking deep into a man's eyes. Kind of unfair as a man, right? Like, as a man, you want to check your girl out. You're like, looking like some kind of caveman, like, brutish barbarian, looking at her titties and ass. Oh, you naughty little man, right? And meanwhile, the girl's version is just, I'm just looking at his eyes. What's wrong with that? What's the harm? But the truth is, I can see a girl with her boyfriend as I walk by, and if she's looking deep in my eyes, I can say, hey, come here. And she'll usually just jump off her guy and come right over to me. So in the same way that if a girl sees you checking her out, as a man, if you see a girl looking deep in your eyes as you're walking by, you can actually do kind of an arc around a girl if she's in her group and just look at her eyes. And if you catch a deep penetrating look in your eye, you can say, hey, get your little ass over here now. And usually they'll break off their group and they'll run right over. So this girl here is and you can't see it if it's censored, but the idea is that she's looking deep, deep, deep in my eyes. And if I press play here, watch the slow breakdown of this. It's very key. She's already looking deep. I know you're looking at the titties there, but, okay. But watch this, and look how deep she's looking in here. And I know it's hard, but just keep looking. So I am right pressed up close to her there. That there is a lot of close space. When you see that a girl is completely at ease to be right up close to you and look deep in your eyes, that is a sense that she is receptive. Because I promise you, when you walk up to a girl, if she's uncomfortable, she's not going to have this big fat smile looking deep in your eyes like this, because that's indicating to you to proceed. Now, of course, as a guy, always be aware, there could be exceptions to the rule. So don't take that as dogma and be like, hey, she looked in my eyes. Blah! Okay, I'm not telling you to do that. Do not do that ever. And if you accidentally do, apologize immediately. Let her know that you're going to back the fuck off and get out of there. But at the same time, what you're going to notice is that when a girl is just looking deep in your eyes like that, well, watch what happens. That's nice. Kind of like a standing up sex position in a spin. And now I'm saying little jokes about how I want to take her beyond the building, literally just as a joke. And what is she doing? Boom. Pointing to take her there because she thinks it's funny. We're already in a sexual style embrace as she smilingly and laughingly points to go over there. Now, this will happen a lot when you're out, okay? I had a student last night who made out with a girl right off the open. Is he back there still? Oh, he went out. Okay. Well, basically what happened was he walks up to a girl and I say, just kiss her. And he was stunned because I just say, kiss her. And immediately, instant makeout, not even a word out of his mouth. I see the girl walking near him. She's looking deep in his eyes. So I say, hey, do you want to kiss my friend? And she's like, okay. And this guy's brand new to doing pickup. And they just start making out. And he's like, ah! Like he's like fucking tripping out. His fucking brain fries. Then he just lets her run away. And I'm like, why do you let her run away? He's like, I don't know. Like this, right? So I say to him, talk to her friend and have her friend bring you to her. He has her friend bring her to her, starts making out with her, and it gets, let's just say, it gets to a situation that typically would be reserved for indoors, right on the street, if you catch what I'm saying here, because she had indicated to him that she wants to do that. And so what happens is now we have a situation that normally would only happen indoors, and basically what happens is that she's so aroused that she wants to jump in the Uber with him, and his brain fucking fries because they barely met. But sometimes this happens because the girl just fucking likes you. And when it's happening, the key is don't question it. So does every pickup result in me walking up to a gorgeous girl like this and being like, hey, come here, and she's like straddling me and want to go beyond the building with me? No. But what have I told you guys to do here? Remember I said earlier, just give me 24 months of just going out and approaching lots of women? When you go out a lot, stuff like this inevitably will happen from time to time. And when it does, don't panic. Don't be like, I've waited for this for 20 years and fuck it up. All you got to do is just be cool about it and calmly lead it. You don't think there's like a little kid in me that's going, oh my God. No fucking way, right? Like Christmas morning, of course. I've never lost that little kid side of me that can enjoy the moment and enjoy a woman being receptive. I love it. But as a man, you just play it cool. Nothing's a big deal. So now watch as we kind of go. She's pointing, right? So is that some good consent and receptivity? Pointing and saying, take me over there. That's good, right? That's good. So she's saying that. Now I'm walking her over here. And what you're going to see is I press her up against the wall because I'm too tired to keep carrying her, and I don't want to look like a pussy. So I don't want to say I'm too tired, I can't carry you because I look like a weakling. And she's like saying to me, she's telling me to get kinky with her. She's telling me to do all this like nasty stuff with her. And I'm like, sure. And I'm obliged to do it because she just thinks it's fucking kinky. So now here, I'm pulling her in. She's smiling. She's receptive. And what's funny is, notice how relaxed I'm about it. Am I clear in my intent?
Yes.
Does this look a little bit clearer than the last two clips?
Yeah.
Now that you see this, can you see the difference between clear intent and not clear intent?
Yeah.
See, so you look, here's what's funny. What is actually harder to do? This or the first one? The first one's actually harder. But do you remember what I said to you at the start? Most guys, they can't go up to a studying girl and act normal. All that I'm really doing here is acting normal. I'm taking the next appropriate indicated action. None of it's a big deal. But because this is a very beautiful girl, it's harder to act like that without overanalyzing it and becoming thirsty. Most guys are needy, thirsty, desperate, and so they fuck this up. I'm just keeping it calm. Now what's funny is, if you look at a picture of me with my balding head and my chubby little ginger cheeks and my pasty little face, and then you look at this beautiful girl, the idea of us matching up looks fucking preposterous. And yet when you see me taking the lead as a man here, in my opinion, it looks pretty fucking normal. It's like, oh yeah, they're just like this couple. It makes sense. We're energetically a good match. So as a man, we have to get out of social conditioning, which is the surface level, and be like, okay, well, where's the energetic match? And that's hard to do because as a man, we're so bought up in social conditioning and consumer culture, seeing male models talking to girls like this, when in reality, most guys that get girls like this are just cool dudes who are just calm as a man, chill, everything's good, and they can just interact. That's what I find. Don't listen to what women tell you they want to go home with. Look at the guys they actually fuck. You ask a girl what kind of guy they want, they're going to pick Brad Pitt, 6'7", fucking billionaire, fucking huge dick, whatever the fuck they're saying. And then you look at the guys they actually fucked, and there will be some guys in there like that, although I don't know if I've ever seen a guy like that. But, you know, there'll be guys like that in there, but it'll be mostly a lot of regular dudes that just didn't give a shit. You're going to see a mix. It'll get to the point where you'll be dating the stunning girl and you see one of her exes and you're almost embarrassed that you're dating her because he looks like a chump. But the funny thing is that's your judgmental nature, because actually if you meet that guy, he's probably pretty fucking cool. So you're not even realizing that at that point. Now, let's just see how this kind of plays out. And what you're going to see me here is leading, and she likes the strong lead. I've seen that, so I'm going to continue in that vibe. And notice, I want you to look at the look on my face here, that childlike joy on my face. Look at that look. I mean, am I on Molly? Like, do you remember I talked earlier about how little kids can experience that childlike joy? So what I've done in my work and success with women is I've learned how to reconnect with that childlike joy. And what happens is that when you are in that state, the women feel it off you by what's called the law of state transference. Women have mirror neurons where they can feel what you feel. So you're in this childlike state of joy. The girls feel that, and it just goes great. So in a lot of ways, from years of doing pickup and working on meeting women, my brain has gotten a lot of rewards when I'm like a little happy kid. And my brain's got a lot of punishment when I'm like an uptight, miserable, old, coot adult. And so what's happening is, look at my face. It's just so happy. And I've had a lot of rewards for that. And as a result, I've become happier in all my years doing pickup. It's funny how that works, right? Guys that do a lot of pickup, a lot of time become happier because when you're happy, the girls give you a reward and it conditions you to get happier. It's funny how it works. So now we're just going home together, and the general vibe is one of just chatting, conversation, and a lot of what I'm doing at this point is rather than trying to convey more value, impress her, tease her, things like that, it's just very casual. At certain points I can stop and reinitiate some physical contact like what you're seeing here. I'm kind of like biting on her neck a little bit, I'm kind of teasing on her a little bit, and then we're just gonna go home. You see us go back to the garage here. So the major idea is that what's going on is that me and this girl have met, there's an immediate attraction, immediate chemistry, I've accepted it, my intent is clear, I'm free from outcome while my intent being very clear. Notice that you have to have a balance. The freedom from outcome grounds the intent. Do you remember how I said earlier that the congruence grounds the self-amusement? The freedom from outcome grounds the intent. Do you see the paradoxical nature in pickup there? I just realized that one now. I always made it 5 principles, but I'm expanding it to 6 today. I've always taught social calibration, but I actually want to make that one of my most important principles because I think that's so important. Having a great experience with girls is making them feel good and never like fucking anybody up or like having a negative experience with girls. So if you think about it, super hardcore intent is grounded by being totally free of outcome and nothing's a big deal. Likewise, being very self-amused and expansive energy is grounded by congruence. Walking up and being very entitled and doing whatever the fuck you want is grounded by complete social awareness so that you never cross that line. Or if you even go a little bit over line, quickly apologizing, letting her know that she's totally safe and backing the fuck off. So do you guys see that there? The paradoxical nature of the game is kind of cool, huh? Very important to understand. And guys get so caught up in one or the other. Like, just fucking go for it. I don't want to hear to be free of outcome. I make it happen. It's like, well, yeah, you're a fucking creep. Other guys are like, I'm not going to be one of these like aggressive guys like running around trying to make it happen. I'm just happy it'll happen. Yeah, but now you're a fucking loser. Nothing's going to happen. Other guys are like, I'm just going to be myself. Yeah, dude, but now you're getting outgamed by guys that are funnier and more engaging than you. They're offering more value. Other guys are like, just go crazy and be funny. Yeah, but now you're a fucking tryhard. Other guys are like, you know what? Just fucking go in there. You're entitled. Yeah, but now you're that fucking like overly aggressive guy that creeps people out. Other guys are like, I'm just going to socially calibrate and always be aware how she feels. Yeah, but now you're thinking too much how she feels and you're looking like a pussy. So each one of them is balanced out by the other. That's the paradoxical nature of game, and that's why we're teaching this to you, in life. And by the way, you can really look at this and how each of these principles applies in life. Being clear in what you want as a man, very powerful. A freedom from outcome and just enjoying the passing movie and ephemeral nature and dreamlike nature of the experience, very key as part of your life as a man. Being congruent to who you are as a man is so important. It means being your fucking self and playing to your strengths, not trying to play somebody else's game. At the same time, having expansive energy and engaging with the world is so important as a man. Making adjustments as a man in life. Maybe you're, in your professional life, something fucked up happens, you make adjustments. But at the same time, fucking going for it and being entitled and deserving. Again, this is how we're coming as men. And the way that we come at a girl is the way that we come at life. The way that we come at life is the way that we come at a girl. And what happens here is that when you master this, your life becomes fucking amazing. Now, we'll go into some more clips here. And let's just see, this is kind of neat. We'll see it really at a nice sweet spot now. Okay, really, really nice sweet spot for you here. So this here, what's funny is that over the years, because I open so quickly, my cameramen miss the open. Because what happens is that I'm just, bam, I'm right in there. I usually tell them to keep rolling, but the problem is that, you wind up with like a 4-hour-long clip and it actually bogs down the computer. So they're always kind of turning it off and turning it on, but then what happens is they sometimes miss the open. So my cameraman here missed the open, but I have literally opened like 2 seconds ago here, okay? This is a fresh fucking open, and watch how it plays out. It's really neat. It's fun to see the chemistry and the attraction. What you'll notice is she's kind of leaning into me. She's looking deep in my eyes, and I'm leaned in a little bit, but I'm still holding my ground and not overdoing it. I'm allowing that space of sexual tension to remain there a little bit. You see I leaned in a little bit on the kiss there? Yeah. And then she backs up, but here's the key. She backs up a little bit, but what do her eyes look like? And what does her smile look like? Her eyes are big. She's holding her hands on my body is the key here. Look at her face. You see that huge $1 million smile? What that means is that there's that nice interplay of chemistry between men and women where you're being the assertive man, the penetrating force of energy, but at the same time, she's going, oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. But while smiling, while being giddy like a little girl, thrilled, happy, if her eyes were to go out for a second, or if she were to not have that huge smile, or if she were to have any tension in her arms at all, or if she even looked like she was smiling just to make it not awkward but didn't want to be there, my hands will pull off, I will back off, and I'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. Why don't you go have a great night? It was really cool to meet you. And you know what they'll do 99 times out of 100? Oh, thank you. You're so cool. I really like meeting you. Because she enjoyed the attention, the validation. She's flattered. And then you showed that you're aware. The problem with men is that they're never aware most of the time. And that's why girls get so frustrated, because women, they tend to know more about social dynamics, social behavior, and facial expressions and energy, because women just typically tend to pay more attention to that. Men, we're clueless about it. So we go up on a girl, we go to hug her, and she's getting, a little uncomfortable, and we're just like, caveman, and the girl's like, good God, I can't even give this guy any nice treatment because he's not gonna back off. What I'm always doing is I'll back off anytime there's discomfort, and that's so critical is that that really powerful idea of just backing off, because it's just fucking awesome, right? Look, imagine that I was selling you to come to this hot seat at the free tour, right? And you're thinking of coming to this hot seat, you're at the back of the room with me, you're kind of asking me some questions. You're on the fence about it, but you are interested. And I'm like, I'd love you to come. And you're like, could you give me a sec to think about it? If I just jump up on you and start hugging you and dry humping your leg and say, hot seat, hot seat, hot seat, hot seat, right? You're like, dude, I was thinking of coming, just give me a second. If I go, hey, take your time, I'm gonna talk to some other people here, and then later you're kind of like, still back on me, showing me those indicators of interest, then I'll keep talking to you. I'm not gonna run away just because you said, I need a second to think about it. That would piss you off. You're like, I had some questions, right? I was interested, I just didn't want you to hump my leg. So that's kind of like with girls, it's like, they're gonna be interested, but maybe you go to escalate, and as part of the dance, she's not quite there, but her eyes are still big, she's still smiling, she's really enjoying it. Hey, do you want to still talk? Yes? Okay, you can keep talking. Now, she's laughing here, so because she's got this big, huge smile, look at her big, fat smile just on her face there. And, look, I rarely ever look that happy. I mean, look at that big, wide mouth, happy smile, tugging on me, enjoying it. I'm kind of smiling there, and that's what I love to see. Now I lean back in, look deeper in her eyes again. I'm grounded in my own energy. My energy is expansive, but it's grounded in congruence. Are you catching this? Yeah. My energy is expansive, but it's grounded in congruence. So powerful. Such a nice sweet spot to be in with girls. When you get this down, you're gonna crush it. So I talk, and she feels that penetrating energy in my eyes. She's looking deep. Look how deep she's looking in my eyes. She's loving every minute of it. But at the same time, I'm holding my ground. She's smiling to the point it's like so much energy coming at her. And I just hold my ground. Going to kiss a little bit, big smile, back off. How clear is my intent here? Am I gonna lose validation? Am I gonna look dumb? Am I gonna lose my state? That's the biggest one for guys, is that you do a couple good approaches, you get in this great mood, we call that being in state, and then you're afraid to lose your great mood. You're like, well, 5 of them in a row went good, but if the 6th one is bad, I'll lose my state. And then you just stop approaching. What's funny is that at the start of the night, when you have nothing to lose, you'll start approaching hardcore. But right as you start to feel really good, you feel something to lose, and you get too afraid to keep approaching, you want to go home. Or the approach is going well with the girl, and you're too afraid to get a number or to say, let's go over here, because you're afraid that she would say no, you'll lose your validation, and then your emotions will go down. This is why it's so important to be free from outcome and to be grounded in your own energy and your own core confidence as a man, and to love yourself. That's why we talk a lot about self-love in RSD, right? It's funny because sometimes girls will hear about RSD and they're like, why don't you guys talk about loving the girl? Why don't you talk about falling in love more and loving the girl? Because most of you guys here, where's your deficiency? Is it in loving yourself, or is it in loving the girl? Do most of you guys in here if a girl's really attractive to you and she's into you, do you fall in love with her way too fast? Any of you guys experience that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do any of you guys here feel like you're so in love with yourselves that you don't need to be even more in love with yourself? You're already too in love with yourself? Or do you feel like you need to learn to care for yourself more?
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it, right? So as a man, in RSD, the reason why I don't talk about love that woman, love the girl so much is because as men, the guys in this course are already doing that. Guys that are fucking in love with themselves, like narcissist players, they're not sitting in here. They're out there fucking all your girls, right? The audience that's in an RSD seminar are probably guys who resonate with me. And if you're like me, you love women so much, you've got to get out there and actually be a little bit of a player to calm that down. Because you're too quick to fall in love. You're too quick to get in a relationship. You're too quick to put your heart on your sleeve and have it crushed. So that's why in RSD we're always saying, hey, love yourself, love yourself. Go meet other girls, love yourself. We're saying that because I know for me, I feel so much love in my heart to give to people, and to share is like you're sharing so much love, but it's like there's this leaking faucet that's coming out and it's depleting you. Instead, love yourself and have so much self-love that it overflows out, rather than it being this leak of this emptying bucket with a hole in it and shooting out. It's like you love yourself so much it overflows out. You attract what you are. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Love yourself so much that you are love. And when you love yourself that much and you share love, people love you back. They feel that vibration of love coming from you, and they love you back. So that's why I'm always saying, love yourself. So if you look at me here, I'm having so much fun with this girl, but at the same time, you can just see how good I feel in my own body, and that's why she feels those great emotions. It's grounded. So in a lot of ways, you could even say that loving the girl is grounded by what? Loving yourself. The paradoxical nature of success with women. You see how she's looking deep, and I'm just making those little facial expressions that make this little snake hissy noise, and she's just laughing. She looks away because it's so much sexual tension, it's like overbearing. Boom, she kisses back, but it's so much energy. You see she's leaning in again because she kind of wants it, but yet pulling back, right? So the emotions are shooting up fast. That means that I'm being effective in being in that sweet spot that we talked about here today. And I say, can I get your number? Or she says, can you give me my number? And I say, let's just go. Okay, right then and there, and off we go. Bam, okay? I see it, I go. Notice that you're seeing some fast pulls here, but it's very critical to understand that they're not all gonna go this fast, but when you can see that the girl is there, you act on it. A common socially conditioned misnomer in success with women is that guys are convinced that they need a certain amount of dates or whatever else in order for the girl to be ready to have sex. So, in social conditioning, we say, okay, take her on 3 dates as an example. What we say in RSD is, or by the way, or they say, get a number. What we say in real social dynamics is fuck social conditioning. It's not to say that all of it's wrong. It's not all wrong necessarily. I think there's a lot of truths in social conditioning. I mean, social conditioning is generally more right than wrong, but the problem with it is that when it is wrong, there's millions of people that believe the wrong things. And as a result of that, it's very hard for those ideas to evolve to another more nuanced or developed or accurate level. So many guys think that if you see a girl, look at that last girl, that she's a beautiful Colombian girl. You'd never think that a guy like me could get a girl like that. But when you see the energy behind it, which is beneath the social conditioning of looks or money, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Like when you see me gaming her, picking her up, so to speak, does it look weird or hard to believe? It actually kind of makes sense. You're like, yeah, he's a man, he's being the male grounding energy. It's two polarities, right? There's chemistry there. But what happens is that guys are so caught up in social conditioning that their minds can't be clear in their intent. There's too many conflicting things going on. They're thinking too much. You ever notice I'm always training guys on meditation? I'm trying to help you to get out of your thoughts and get cleared intent. They're bogged down by too much need for an outcome. And if it starts to go well at all, they get too caught up in an outcome. They're incongruent. They're trying too hard or not trying hard enough as a defense wall. That's another form of incongruence, by the way. You're shut down and not being expressive because you're actually afraid to put yourself out there. It's also incongruent. That's not who you are. That's not who you are at all. You're better than that. You really are. And so, incongruence, they're not congruent. Their energy is not expansive enough, or they're overdoing it as a tryhard. They feel unentitled, and they're not social calibrating, or they're overly calibrating and not entitled enough and going for it. And they're not moving it forward into isolation. So in social conditioning, they say, you've got to go on X amount of dates, you've got to get a phone number at this time, and women aren't going to have sex. Social conditioning even says that women don't enjoy sex. Who enjoyed that last interaction more, me or the girl, do you think? Girl. Yeah, I think we both loved it, but the women love it when they meet a guy like that. I'll tell you why. Because as a man who's fucking awesome, you're awesome every minute of every fucking day, if you choose to be. But as a girl, she only gets to meet that awesome guy once in a while. So it's pretty fucking dope when she gets to meet you. That's why, guys that think that pickup is, bad or whatever, they're not getting it. That the essence of pickup is being that awesome fucking dude and making everybody there have fun. Yes, the odd negative person is gonna take it bad or bitch or complain, but that's life. That's everything in life. Is there anything, whether it's NBA basketball or fucking music or anything that doesn't have some weird person that just like fuck that, I hate it, and stuff like that. You're gonna meet girls out there that are just super stuck in negativity. That is what it is. Maybe you'll meet some girls where you kind of overdid it, you didn't calibrate, and then you adjust, you back off. But for the most part, it's supposed to be generally a very fun, uplifting, energizing experience where at the end of the night, you had so much fun. It's like you're at the town square, sharing love, sharing value, sharing good emotions, and everybody just sees you having a good time with everyone. And then usually the most attractive girls see that you're that cool guy that's having fun with everybody, and then they want to come talk to you. And they'll either come talk to you, or they'll go near you and kind of quasi-approach you, kind of energetically put themselves out there to you, or they'll go by and you'll kind of open them as you're talking to other people, or you'll just wind up meeting them. And when you do, you're in so much social momentum, having so much fun, bam, it's just great. You were on boot camp with me, and you can remember at the end of the night, we want to go do an after party, and we just start bringing up girls left and right up to the house. And the reason why is because we're having so much fun throughout the night. We were there on Halloween, so I was dressed as a leprechaun, you were dressed as a lion. That's pretty fun. But, you know, who could say no to that team? But basically, it's like, you know, we're in that great mood, and it's like, hey, come on up. And it's cool. And every girl that came up to that party had a good time, and it's just like an epic vibe. That's what success at women is meant to be. It's not meant to be this like hellish doomsday thing where you need validation, they won't give it in the fucking heart, it's not very nice. Okay? It's not meant to be like that. It's meant to be fun, okay? Share. So that's what makes it work. Now, you know, it's also about manning up as well. Like when we went up to those girls to take them home, it's like, hey, come on. You know, we're not just like, would you come please with me, right? It's not like that. It's like, hey, yo, we're going out to party. Join. You know, and then they're like, okay, cool, it's a man. So it's the paradoxical nature of not needing it, but still leading it. The point being is that we get past social conditioning. Here's the main key. We don't view pickup as needing a number. Yes, you'll get a lot of numbers, but you don't need it. Rather, we view it as a progression whereby which you show her the right traits, she becomes attracted, and as she becomes attracted, at the right waypoints, you isolate and escalate. Sometimes what happens, though, is that she's with her friends, and you cannot keep moving her through that process because it's inappropriate at that time because she's out with friends, in which case you take a number. Maybe she's got to go home, in which case you take a number. But if she's willing to go through that whole process with you from start to finish, you do it right then and there, okay? Very key. Now, so what that means is that sometimes you meet girls that want to get pulled right then and there, and you'll feel it that they've been through the process. You will feel it with social calibration and social awareness. She's ready to go. And when she's ready to go, you go. If she's not ready to go, you chat. And if she's not ready to go that night, you take a number. I've had a girl say to me one time, please don't touch me when I touch her. And I said, okay, sure. What do you want? And she said, I hate it when guys touch me. Can you just be cool and talk to me? It drives me nuts if a guy won't just be cool and talk to me. I said, that's not a problem at all. I think you're stunning. I would love to talk to you. Let's just talk. And I completely backed off. I talked to her. She said, there's no way I'm going to go home with you tonight, Owen. But if you call me, I'll come out with you tomorrow and we can hang out. I said, okay. I didn't push it. I called her the next day. She didn't answer. I texted. She called her right back. I said, will you come out? She said, absolutely. Came right to my hotel. She said, I'm not coming to your hotel to fuck you. I'd love to just go on a date with you. I said, okay. I walked her around the city. It was in Austin. Really cool. She told me all about some experiences that she'd had in Mexico. Some were tragic, some were really cool. She told me about her life. We got to know each other. It was like a little adventure. You know, you ever seen that movie with, is it Ethan Hawke, like Before Sunrise or something like that? You know, they're just kind of chatting, enjoying each other's company. We did that. And at the end of the night, I brought her back to my hotel. She'd already been by my hotel, so it was not awkward. And we sit on the couch. I sat on the opposite end of the couch. Eventually, I go near her. She goes, hey, I thought you're not going to touch me. I go, sweetie, I'm the man. Somebody has got to come over to this end of the couch. So I got to be the man, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to spoon with you. And if that's not cool, I understand, but I've got to come over here. I've got to be the man. And she's like, haha, okay. She just laughed at it, and now we're kind of spooning, I guess. And then what happened was we start making out and dry humping really hardcore. And then she says, I can't have sex with you tonight. So I said, okay. We'd been making out for like 4 hours, okay? Like dry humping, making out for like 4 hours. So I say to her, I go, all right, just sleep over here. That one tip alone will get you laid more than you can imagine. You would be blown away if you just sleep at her house or have her sleep at your house, how often you'll wind up having sex in the morning. And the problem that I've had in the past is I get too horny and I can't fall asleep. Who's ever had to try to have the girls sleep over, but you've been dry humping for 4 hours, and like if you go to sleep, you're gonna get blue balls. Like blue balls is kind of this weird thing that guys use to pressure girls into sex, but sometimes blue balls is real. And I don't know if they turn blue, but I do know that there's something going on that's not happy, right? So at that point, I said, you know what? You go sleep on the couch. I'm gonna crash out, and I gotta jerk off in order to fall asleep. It was actually painful to jerk off because literally I've been so aroused for like hours and hours, it was hard to even jerk off. But I made myself jerk off, paint the fucking wall beyond my head. You know, and then I pass out. I wake up in the morning, and it was funny because I think the Lakers were in the finals at that point, and I read this thing about how Kobe was saying that Pau Gasol wasn't like being like proactive enough, and like they lost the game, and I was so inspired. I'm like, I'm not gonna be like Pau, I'm gonna be like Kobe. This is happening, you know. So I just jump in bed with her, and I say, and I just start making out with her. And then we have sex. And then we had a great time after that too. Now, you know what she said to me when we went to have sex? You know what her words were? I'm sorry for being so weird about the sex thing. I'm the one who's been weird. What you'll find is that when you're non-needy and very authentic and genuine, the girls will be the ones apologizing if they wait to have sex. And the reason why is because you haven't been weird at all. You've been totally cool. And it almost begins to look like game playing if at a certain point they don't have sex. Women will have sex if you're genuine with them and don't play games with them. They want to be genuine with you and mirror that very genuine, authentic vibe back to you. So if it's appropriate that you'd have sex because the energy and the chemistry is at that point, they'll have sex. Women generally like to wait until the energy is at a point where if you're to have sex, you'd feel really good after, not really bad. I've reached a point in my older age that I will wait to have sex, even multiple dates, even if the girl's ready to have sex, if I don't think that we will go into high vibration energy together. I know, if we wait till I get it. Okay, I sound like I'm a fucking pompous idiot. But if we can just bear with my pompousness, essentially, I'm waiting until I feel that right after we have sex, we're gonna feel awesome about it. Because I've had sex with girls really quick, and sometimes it's been epic. It's like, we're just basking in the glow of the sex that we just had, and we're like friends for life. But other times I've had sex with girls really quick, and I'm like, whoa, like, am I in Craigslist here? Like what the fuck was this, right? This is fucking weird. I think we kind of just did something that was kind of like, almost like in this low vibration kind of taker thing, like I gotta fuck, you know, and it's like, whoa, right after, right? What was that about? So I always like it, I've just learned from experience, like I wanna be basking in the epicness. So sometimes a girl is waiting, or maybe you'll get her to wait, and then you wind up having sex, and she'll even say to you, she's like, you know, I'm not trying to play a game, I'm waiting to get to know you better, and you wind up having sex. So really what people think in social conditioning is you have to be a certain amount good looking, or you have to be, you have to have a certain bank account, or, you have to be a celebrity. But really it's about energy. It's about the energy between you and the girl. And from there, and I'm not saying that being a celebrity or rich or good looking isn't helping. I'm just saying that there's also this thing called energy, and then if you master it, you're gonna get wild results. The other thing is that, and by the way, that there's no excuse. Anybody can get amazing results. There's no excuse. So I don't like to get into debates about, does being taller matter at all? Rather, let's just say that no matter what you are, you can get great results if you get your game down, is what I want to focus on. And I don't like to sit there focusing on shit that's irrelevant, like victim thinking or thinking about what you don't have. I just want to think about solutions. That's where my head is at this point in my life. Now, the next thing is, the real truth of it, by the way, is that at a very high level in game, looks is the most insignificant thing at a very, very high level in game. But of course, if you don't know any game at all, you're better to be Shaquille O'Neal than Steph Curry if Shaquille didn't know basketball and Steph Curry don't know basketball. Did you catch that analogy? If you don't know how to play basketball at all, you're better to be Shaquille O'Neal because you're 7 foot tall and you can just drop the ball in the net. If you don't know basketball at all. But if you're a fucking pro, right, whereas if you're Steph Curry trying to shoot 3-pointers but you have no skill, that would suck, right? Being this like little guy with no skill, it would suck. But at a high level in basketball, Steph Curry can compete with Shaquille O'Neal, and it's not even clear who's better because you're at such a high skill level. So at that point, even if you're a short guy or you're not the ideal guy, it's not a huge factor at all because your energy management is so clear. And if you look at these last sets, would they have looked any better if I was better looking? Did my baldness come into play? And that's because at a high level in game, it's not a big deal. But then guys, that are newer will see their better looking friend and he's getting better results early and they get depressed and they think it can't be real and they think they can't do it. When really what is, they need to keep progressing, focus on the positive and focus only on what will help them, not on what sort of gives them an excuse not to do well, okay? Okay, now let's look here. So bottom line, social conditioning is about energy. It's about moving them through processes emotionally until they're ready for sex and being able to do that consistently so your results are amazing with girls. And you can absolutely learn it, and when you get it down, you crush it. Now, let's look here. This girl here has done runway modeling. She's got her MBA, done runway modeling. Would that be classified as a quality girl, runway model, MBA? You know what? The truth is, I actually don't give a shit she did her MBA. I don't give a shit she did runway modeling. But at least on the surface level, you'd call that a quality girl, okay? Really, in reality, I just like girls that are cool and that are my friends, But from a surface level perspective, she's got the right pieces on paper. Now, let's just see here. I've gone in, I've opened. So what you have here is you have a couple guys off to the right. I don't know them. You've got the hot girl who I'm looking at. You've got obstacles over there. Now, a couple things to note is my indifferent demeanor. Look at my demeanor here. Am I caught up in an outcome?
No.
Is my intent divided or am I just relaxed?
Relax.
Essentially, I'm chatting, right? So my initial go in here is chat. I haven't been sexual. I'm not grabbing at anything. I'm just chill. So what you're seeing is me engaging the girl, I'm chill, and the girl in the yellow is watching it, right? So the girl in the yellow is watching as I'm engaging the other girl, and I'm making some funny things, and that's why she's leaning back and laughing, and I'm kind of tapping her head, I'm just treating her like a little puppy, and now I'm kind of engaging the other girls, and the energy is going in my direction while this better looking, better dressed guy is sitting over here. He's got that nice square cut jaw, he's got a full head of hair, and yet who looks more powerful here?
You do.
Funny, is that pretty much indisputable that I'm at the cause, not the effect, and he's basically at the effect? And yet so many guys would look at this guy on the right, be intimidated by him, and let him fuck them up. And yet how easy is it not to let him fuck you up if you just do the things we're talking about here? It's so easy, but you've got to do these things. So I'm engaging here, I'm chatting, clear intent, grounded energy, congruent. Energy is going to get a little more expansive as time goes on. I'm entitled, and I'm also calibrating. Now I'm looking at this girl right deep in the eye. Now I'm looking away, I'm giving her senses of it. Now I'm going to look back deep in the eye. What you want to understand is that deep, penetrating eye contact is a huge generator of attraction. So I will look deep in her eyes, and it's that big-ass fucking pupil. Look at me, just look it in her eye right there. Steady, calm, like very few men can do on a girl like this. Very few men can pull this off. And without any jitteriness or jumpiness, she's up in the air. A lot of guys won't do this with a girl like this. Look at how I'm just looking at her there. Now, her titty's out, and her friend is coming out to pull it in, and she's laughing. She just thinks it's funny. She's hot, she's not sensitive about it. So, she's laughing, she's pulling on me. I've already made my point by lifting her up. I don't need to get hung up on it. She's got a big fat smile, and she's hugging on me. So I know that's a green light, as opposed to if it was a red light. If she wasn't doing this, that's a red light, I would back off. But she's got a green light. So I'm holding her, and look at how I'm just bashing, like just patting away the little gnats, okay? That's how I'm viewing it. And I'm not saying that them as people, I'm saying that at them as energetic. She is trying to create a block between me and her nice friend. There's a great connection between me and her friend. Rather than being jealous or envious, she should be happy for her friend. And for that reason, I'm not gonna take any shit, and I'm gonna look at her, and I'm just so used to it, and I'm so chill with it, and it's all good. I've been here thousands of times, and this is why approaching women for years and years makes you get better results, because now I can swat away the gnats, she'll go away, this guy's fucking punked, he's screwed, and basically I can look at her, it's no big deal, it's all fucking good. And I can just look at her, clear my intent. No big outcome, self-amused, and now I'm gonna lead. The guy's vaporized, he's gone, the friends are gonna let it happen. Okay? And this is game. This is what you want to be developing, and when you can do this, it is the motherfucking bomb, it's the bomb, it's the bomb, it's the shit, it's the bomb, it's fucking fun, it's the bomb. It's great, and that is why I'm fucking passionate about this shit, and it's fucking fun to do, and for years I couldn't even fucking talk to people, I could barely fit in at fucking school, and now I do this shit every night. So it's a thrill, and it's something I'm passionate about, and I want to share that with all of you. And that's why for a million fucking people, they're like, why do you teach game? And it's fucking stupid. Is this stupid? I don't know. I think it's fucking cool. Well, you're 36 and you still think this is cool. Yeah, I do. Okay? I think it's fucking fun. The day that you can't enjoy this, you are so fucking pompous. You are so fucking pretentious. You have your head so far up your own ass. You are such a spiritual fucking snob. You're like, I have transcended the desire to engage with this perfect 10. I like to sit at home in presence. It's like, shut the fuck up and let's go pimp it, okay? And by the way, and let me say another thing. If you can't clown about we all know that pimps are the biggest scumbags in the earth. If you can't joke about things like that, like the word pimp it as a joke, you're like, is he saying to become a pimp? A pimp, right? And you're too dumb to know what a joke is. Fuck you, okay? Because you're basically taking the free. You're basically being a little shit who's the rest of the world wants to clown and have fun. Why as guys do we say words like pimp it and joke around? Why are we're gonna get some pussy and shit like that? Look, men are just as loving as women. We really are. We love deeply. We love powerfully. But we're the initiators. We're the ones that have to put ourselves out there, and it's fucking scary when we're not used to it. So we joke about it in things like pimp it or get some pussy to put space around it as humor. Okay? When guys are like, let's get some pussy, that doesn't mean that he's some like barbaric dickhead psycho who's like, okay? What it means is he's actually kind of nervous to go talk to a bunch of people because it's scary, and he's joking about it, going, let's go fucking pivot, let's get some pussy, right? To joke around about it, okay? To joke around. Men, traditionally, we do hunting or go win wars, and you got to say, let's go kick some ass. Really, you're doing the scary thing like being in a war, but you're like, let's go kick some ass. It doesn't mean that you're this like barbaric person. It just means that as a guy, we try to keep a good attitude towards it. So as a guy, what I think is that, while there's all these other higher pursuits that are very important, at the same time, this to me is life. This is day-to-day life. I love eating a great fucking steak. I love meeting a great fucking woman. I like being out in South Beach, out in Hollywood, out in Manhattan, out in beautiful places. It has never gotten old for me being on a rooftop bar in the middle of Manhattan, looking over the city, seeing the Empire State Building, seeing the river like at the Gansevoort Hotel, and just being like, wow, I'm with my friends, we're clowning, we're enjoying life, we're talking to girls, I made out with some cute girl, we're gonna go home and have sex. That has never gotten old for me. And while there's deeper pursuits, this is fucking life, okay? It's fun, and that's why I want you guys to enjoy that shit. So while there's deeper parts of life, look, this is fucking fun. Fucking enjoy it. And don't let anybody shame you for enjoying talking to women. Don't let anybody shame you for sharing value, sharing love, and treating the whole world like it's the fucking town square and having fun with everybody, because everybody's gonna try to stop you. There's a lot of people that don't want locker room talk. It's naughty locker room talk. He said the word pimp, stuff like that. He said pussy, revolted, okay? Yeah, okay, for real. Guys get fucking beaten down for that shit. It's just the way that it is. Look, for many years, girls, they were the ones that had like the fucking shit talked on them, right? Like stay in the kitchen. It was terrible. It was disgusting, repugnant. If you ever want to see an example of it, watch Revolutionary Road with Leo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet to have sympathy for the bullshit, the disgusting, horrifying state of society that women had to deal with. It was disgusting. There's places in the world where women are forced to wear weird ass fucking clothes and genital mutilation and disgusting, horrifying fucking things that happen to women that in every way, shape, and form I am against. At the same time, in a lot of the spirit of kind of evening that out, now all of a sudden it's like guys want to have a bit of locker room talk or go, talk about getting laid or clown a bit, and it's like this big fucking deal as if they think that we're gonna go put a woman in this weird like garb thing without able to see stuff and like put her in the kitchen. And while that may be funny as a joke, like you're gonna be barefoot in the kitchen, girl, and she'll probably laugh at that if she has a sense of humor, and that's why we clown about shit like that. Obviously, the frame that we're coming from is just going out, meeting people, sharing love, sharing positivity, and actually not just being on fucking Tinder all day. Like, let's just sit on fucking Tinder. And you could do that if you want. It's fun, but why not actually go out and meet real people in real life? So much of society is trying to relegate you to your fucking smartphone and basically not even able to go engage or talk to somebody. They're trying to say that going and talking to a woman on the street is street harassment. But what we're showing you here is about how to be aware of what the woman is experiencing and really to offer value to her and make her day better. And so for the 99% of women that want cool, awesome guys to come talk to them and share value, and if she's uncomfortable to back off, and I'm teaching you to be that too, for the 99% of those girls, but they're not really vocal, there's that 1% of girls that are like, leave me alone. And it's like some girl is not even attractive because she's so negative, and essentially what winds up happening is like no one even wants to approach her in the first place. So you even go near her and she's like, leave me alone, right? And you're like, I wasn't even talking to you, And then they're the ones that create this weird social narrative of guys being like these horrible people as guys like just evil, and shit like that, and it's not true. Okay, what I really believe is that all human beings want to be good. And I think that people at their highest state want to share value and don't want to be in this weird fucked up state. That's why books like, you ever heard the book Radical Honesty?
Yeah.
Just that one title, Radical Honesty, how good does that feel?
Really good.
It feels fucking good, right? You know why? You ever feel like you're just so sick of bullshitting? You're like, radical honesty, like that could work. I could just be fucking honest and that could fucking work. And people buy that up, becomes a bestseller because people want to fucking tell the truth, okay? People when they're negative, it's fear-based. That's why people get negative. But at their core, barring certain like genetic anomalies of sociopathy or something, people want to be positive. So what I believe is that most women want guys to approach. It's just that tiny little percent of girls that don't, that sometimes can get vocal about it and just sit there and like low vibration energy making a big fuss about it. But I truly believe that girls want to be approached by cool guys. I believe that guys want to approach girls. They want to share value. They want to have fun with everybody. And that's what I'm teaching here to do. That's what it's about. And I have fought hard to make sure that that's available for people because I believe in it and I'm passionate about it. This isn't like the 10 Commandments from Moses, right? It's not like I didn't go up some fucking hill and like a fucking burning bush talked to me. It was like, Tyler, entitlement is grounded by social calibration. You know, and I come down and like all the chodes are like in their chode world and I throw the tablets down. I'm like, ah, yeah, right. It's not like that. I mean, it could be. I'll try. Later, I'll jump up there, I'll throw the tablet and we'll see what happens. But, you know, the idea being that if anything, what you should get out of this is that I came up with a way of thinking about it that works for me. And because I share it with you guys, you could enjoy it and gain value from it. But I hope that while you think about what I'm saying and you take it on board and you try it out and I would really hope that you're open-minded about it. I hope that an even bigger lesson that you get is more in my process of how I figured this stuff out and even figuring out your own ways of thinking about it. See, in Success with Women, there's actually forums where people debate concepts. And that debate is so healthy because sometimes what happens is guys will have a certain way of explaining it, and then other guys will come in and kind of try to one-up each other a little bit and say, well, really, it's like this. And while really the first guy was thinking the same thing as the second guy, they really thought the same fucking thing, sometimes ways of articulating it are just a little bit sharper and more nuanced and make it hit home better. And when it hits home better, it actually makes you act better. So can you guys even see how now, after I said this stuff about the 6 different principles, did that make a lot of sense to you guys? Something you could really go apply right now?
Yeah.
It's funny, right? Well, for years and years, we've looked at so many different ways of thinking about success of women. We've tried so many different avenues. And yet, after, say, doing it ever since 2002 at this point, these are the ways that I explain it that really get to the heart of it in my mind, and what I've seen really get to the heart of it in the people who learn from me. So there's a million ways that you could explain this. You could explain it with lines, but any one of those lines could probably be slotted into those principles. And there's probably, like what I love is that in the future, I pray that there will be pickup teachers that will come along that will make my stuff look fucking archaic and will take it to whole other levels. And the goal should always be the advancement, right? So Real Social Dynamics has always been 2 things. One is open source. You could see me flip around in 5 years from now, I don't want to scare you, you know, but in 5 years from now, I could flip around on this whole damn thing and say, hey, there's this whole other way of thinking about it that gets even more to the core of it. I probably don't think that will happen, but you never know. And in the same way, we're telling you to think for yourself. If what I'm saying to you here makes sense, great. If it doesn't, be open-minded and test it. Like, don't be like a hipster that's like, I only do what I came up with, my own style, refusing to learn from other people. I've spent my life seeking out great mentors and people to learn from. And if you think that you're going to just figure out everything in life on your own, you'll spend, 80 years reinventing the fucking wheel with information that you could have got downloaded in your head like boom. So you guys are making, I think, a great choice, in my opinion, for being here learning. At the same time, though, still look at my process. I figured this stuff out by learning from mentors, winging with people, looking at students, trying my own experiments for well over a decade, but ultimately coming to my own conclusions. So while I encourage you to be open-minded and take on board the teaching, even more powerful is to have a critical judgment, not take what I say at face value, but rather just with an open mind test it, and then even coming up with your own ways of thinking about it. And it's always about thinking for yourself, critical judgment, and the only way that you're ever gonna own this information is if you test it and own it for yourself. So what I'd ask you to do is to not just take it dogmatically and just listen, like, he's Tyler, there's a big crowd there and he has a video camera on him, he must be right. But rather just think about it like, well, okay, that guy went out a long time, he tried a lot of different ways of teaching it. I'll take what he says with open mind, I'm not gonna be closed-minded just out of hand. I'll try it out, and then as I find ways to think about it that resonate more with me, I can let go of those and move forward even in my own ways of articulating it or understanding. There's an expression in enlightenment where they say on your way to enlightenment, kill the Buddha. You guys ever heard that? Like if you see the Buddha, kill him. That's because, I'm not saying to kill your pickup teachers, but the point being, please, thank you. But the point being is that I think in everybody's learning curve, they'll first find RSD, and they're like, RSD, just like going crazy, like, hey, Tyler said it, Tyler said this. Like, you'll see guys on the forum that debate by saying, but Tyler said this, as if it's like, that should just end the debate, like Tyler said it. And it's like, dude, I'm just a fucking balding ginger just giving some ideas, okay? But at the same time, then you see guys go the opposite direction. They're like, you know what I realized about RSD? I wasted 2 years of my life, and I got to create my own style. And you know what I realized? It's just about being yourself. And in my mind, I'm like, that's what we told you, right? But they're like, no, you didn't. You didn't say that, right? It's like, dude, that's really what we told you. But you'll actually see this a lot. But what they're doing It's actually an important phase. So when guys first go into it, they overly buy in, right? They're overly bought in without critical judgment because they're so much at the mercy of social conditioning that they can't think for themselves, and they kind of need a crutch, and they need somebody to tell them how to think. So I kind of become that guy. Almost like a little kid with their parents. Their parents tells them what to do, and they're like, mommy and daddy said so. So that's the role that I wind up playing. Later, on your learning curve, it's more like a teenager. Like, what mom and dad said is dumb. I'm going to drink weed and whatever. I don't know, okay? I'll do what I want, you know? Like oppositional, right? So you'll see guys in their learning curve. You'll see this even on forums where they're like, you know what? After 2 years of RSD, you know what I realized? Fuck all RSD. I realized that I've got to be myself and just go for it. And, you know, and like I deserve it, and other guys jump on, they're like, that's basically what he said, but just in different words, right? But what happened was, in order for them to own it, they had to say it in a way that is their own vocabulary, and so that they can own it. Now, typically, and sometimes those people will even become a little bit haterade a little bit, but I'm never against that. In fact, I view it as a part of their learning curve, right? Just like if you had kids, it's like, you know, when your kid starts listening to, like, you know, gangster rap or heavy metal and smokes a joint, that's just your kid's way of finding their own identity. And then later, usually people that did that, they come back and they'll come. This happens to me every day. That's why I never take anything ever personally. So guys that come up to me on the street every day and they're like, hey, dude, at first I was like this crazy fanboy, and then later I was kind of mad at you. And now I realize, like, fuck, you actually really went out there and like fucking did this shit, and yeah, I got a lot out of it. Thank you. And that's kind of when I know that a guy came full circle. You know, it's like he's owning it. Now he's got his dating life under control, and he's getting the results that he wants, but he's not just listening to me like Tyler said, right? It's like he's coming from it from his own standpoint. He has his own vocabulary for it, and he's figured out a system that works for him. So what you can do is, at first, if it helps you to just listen to dogmatically what I say, if it makes it faster for you and easier, because it's just too much to focus on at first, just try taking what I say at face value. Just try it. I'm very confident you'll get a great result. Over time, try to come up with your own vocabulary, your own ways of thinking about it, and creating your own kind of angles on it. And then as time goes even deeper, maybe even reintegrate some of the original things that you learned, but from a whole new, fresh perspective and a deeper type of appreciation. That's kind of it's like codependence, independence, and interdependence. You see that? It's like at first, like, you need to be told what to do. Later, it's like you want no one to tell you what to do. You're going to do exactly what you think. And then later, you can actually interact with other teachers as a peer. So you can still come back and learn from other teachers, but as a peer, right? So when I first learned from, say, you know, Tony Robbins, maybe I'm like, Tony Robbins, oh my God. Then later I'm like, you know what, Tony Robbins, just jumping around and fucking screaming. That's dumb. And then later I come back, I'm like, actually, that's pretty smart, but I have my own way of thinking about it that's maybe different, and I can kind of come at it interdependently and collaboratively as a peer and appreciate the value, but at the same time not just be bought in like drinking the Kool-Aid. You guys kind of catch that? Yeah. It's very, very critical in your learning curve, okay? I'm trying to predict it for you to sort of help you with that.